everyone, this is Sanjay Pandey from Study International Consultancy Services Private Limited. Once again in front of you with a special guest, Mr. Ben Whitehouse, the representative of Leeds Trinity University from United Kingdom. Since you guys always have questions related to how it works there in international destination when you go for your abroad education, and the universities, how it works there, how it feels there, and then the admission process and many other things. So today we thought of introducing you to Mr. Ben Whitehouse to have proper understanding, because I believe that when he speaks something directly coming from the university itself, that will be more evident and probably help you to clear most of your doubts. And since I believe it as my responsibility as a consultant, here we are with Mr. Ben Whitehouse. Welcome, Mr. Ben. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here, and I much appreciate the chance to chat.
Thank you. So, Mr. Ben, without wasting a lot of time, let's just start with the questions that I have, which generally the students have in their mind. First of all, Leeds Trinity University, basically, it's the university is from 1966, and from 2022 they have started the international operations and recruiting the students for the further educations, be it a bachelor's program or a master's program. And today we will specifically talk about the university as well as the other aspects. So the first question goes to you is, Mr. Ben, please tell me, or could you provide an overview of your university and its key strengths for international students?
Sure. As you touched on, we were founded in 1966, and at that time we were a teacher training specialist institution who essentially were giving people that vocational training in becoming teachers.
Okay.
Year on year, gradually we expanded our course portfolio until over time we ceased to be a highly specialist institution and became an institution that was still in touch with its roots in that specialism, but which also offered a very broad range of courses to cater for a number of different tastes and career trajectories. We're in the city of Leeds, which is in northern England, and it's a fantastic place to be. I mean, I've lived there for 10 years, so I can speak personally of the quality of the city, the dynamism of the city. It's the second largest financial hub as a city in England after London, and the same goes for the legal sector as well. We are a smaller institution in terms of the scale of student population, but what that means is that we can offer a very personalised and bespoke service.
Correct. Yes.
Offer a lot of support, and that's important to people who've made a journey. That's important to people who are perhaps studying in a different cultural context to what they were before.
Right. Okay. Now that's absolutely right. That when it's a small university, you can have proper focus on every single student. That ultimately leads to a really good level of education. So my another question comes to the same question. Since it is from 1966, obviously, since you said that it follows a traditional way of teaching as well, is it like something different that you have added to the pattern as per the current scenario of the international education system? Or you still follow little of the traditions and little of the newness and becomes a beautiful blend of overall education?
When I speak of the tradition, I suppose I mean that we're in touch with our roots as an institution that used to only do teacher training courses, and we retain an excellent reputation for that. In terms of our approach, though, I would say we're very modern, possibly even ahead of the game. We were one of the first institutions in the UK to incorporate kind of external work experience and placements into the curriculum. Now, that's something that we are planning to bring in for postgraduates, but for bachelor students, we've been doing that for years. So that was quite pioneering of us. And I think it speaks of our very practical approach, which I think is part of our identity. In fact, we are ranked 15th in the UK for the percentage of graduates moving into work or further study within 15 months. So it's borne out by the statistics. And I think, that uniqueness is a combination of our size allowing us to be bespoke, but with the practicality and the career focus of what goes on in the classroom.
Brilliant. That's the kind of clarity we're looking for. You tell me, what unique opportunities does your university offer for international students that set it apart from others?
Opportunities, again, if you're on a bachelor's program, you've got that option that's offered to virtually all students in year 2 to have a placement module. So you would be, interning with a company, and we've spent decades curating that network. So these are high quality placements.
That sounds great. At the time of bachelor's, you have this, right?
Yes, and we're actively looking to introduce that for masters, although it's not something that we're doing quite yet.
Okay.
But watch this space on that front, I would say. But that's certainly an opportunity, and I think we're very well placed geographically for opportunities as well. Bear in mind that within the UK, the cost of living varies considerably between different regions. The north is a very affordable place to live relative to the south, possibly, almost in the range of £3,000 different compared to some of the priciest areas of London, say. So I think that there's that. I think Leeds as a city is very, very well connected to other cities. So there are opportunities that if you so choose and if you are so qualified to want to look to having a future in the UK. Sheffield is easily accessible. Manchester, York, Bradford.
These are again the main cities.
Leeds is kind of a hub that's connected to all of them. I would also say that you will find arguably slightly less competition in the north than the south. I don't want to make the north sound like it's unambitious or like it lacks large cities. That is not the case. But it doesn't have the same sort of sponging of job applications that you might find in other parts of the countries where hyper competition can be an issue.
Okay. So another question comes to my mind right now is, obviously you've got a lot many students studying there. You see, like on an average, if you say, like, you think most of the students do part-time, right, for their monthly expenses. Do you see that the students are doing part-time as well when they're studying there? Or how it goes? This, like, most of the students are spending more time in the education, or how do you deal? If you can give me a little idea.
Obviously, Leeds Trinity University is fairly early in its international journey. As you said at the start, although we've been going since 1966, our international office is much, much younger than that. Of course, though, if you're coming to the UK to study, the study should be your main focus.
Exactly. That's the reason that I'm asking the question.
Exactly. Yeah. So your ability to your ability to do up to 20 hours work on the side, I mean, that should be considered, I think, a privilege, a means of earning a little bit of extra money, but it is not the focal point of your experience.
As a consultant, that's the exact message that I would like to deliver here. It always has to be your priority to go for your study as the primary goal. At times students, they think more about getting, the part-times and all. And I want them to specifically focus more on studies and get good grades at the end of it, because obviously once you get this, you've got more opportunities of getting better job and get your goals sorted. So the next question that goes to you is, why do you think the students should consider UK as their study destination compared to other countries?
As someone from the UK, I obviously have a level of bias here, but I love it. I think it's a great place to be. If you want to talk about just the education, of course, the UK education system is known the world over.
It's really good. It's really good.
Before you even look into the nuts and bolts of it, you've just got the recognition and the reputation.
Correct.
Now, the way that education is regulated in the UK, the quality standards are very high across the board. Of course, every university has got its own strengths and weaknesses. It's a unique identity, but you will find that everything comes with a very solid and well-regulated level of quality assurance to it. The degrees as well tend to be a little bit on the shorter side. So you will find that you've got 3-year bachelors in many cases and 1-year masters in a lot of cases as well, which is not the standard in other countries. And just as an environment, the UK is a melting pot. It's a very diverse place. It's a place with many cultures all coexisting and kind of a ferment of talent from across the world. But it mixes that with being a highly safe environment for the most part as well. It's a country in which I think you can, enjoy yourself and feel secure, and where, particularly if you're talking in the case of undergraduates, where parents can feel secure in sending their children.
Indeed. Being a student who is, even I myself have also completed his master's from UK, so I already have the experience. It does feel safe. It is good in terms of the duration that they provide for completing their masters, to be specific, and the degrees or the credentials, whatever you receive are widely accepted worldwide. So the point that I want to add is the weather, specifically for the Indian students, right? It's not extremely cold or it's not extremely hot. It's extremely pleasant for the people who are going to study there. So that is again a point that I wanted to add. Moving on to the next question, Mr. Ben, what resources and services does your university provide to help students find accommodation and settle in to life in the UK?
Cool. I'll break that down into kind of two halves. Accommodation. The first thing to say that Leeds is a big university town. You know, we're one of multiple what you might call conventional universities in the city, but there's a couple of arts universities. There's even a dance university. So the student population, both UK and international, in the city is quite large. That therefore means there's an awful lot of options when it comes to accommodation, whether that's halls of residences, which might be run by non-profit companies, private landlords, homestays, and of course the accommodation owned by the university itself. Leeds is one of the last places that is going to run out of accommodation, at least for single students coming on their own, certainly. In terms of what we offer specifically, we have two campuses. The suburban campus has on-campus accommodation, and the city centre campus, the accommodation is 1.5 kilometres away, which is pretty walkable, especially touching on the weather point which you made earlier. The UK is an easy country in which you can navigate by foot. And the accommodation team are there to help you, whether you are making your own plans or whether you are residing on the campus. You know, even if you're not residing on the campus, it doesn't mean we can't offer you advice. In terms of settling in, we've got an interesting and very kind of warm and welcoming suite of activities during our orientation period when students join in September and also January. And student to student, we have a students' union, a very active students' union, and that does have an international society within it. So the staff will be looking after you, your classmates will be looking after you, but also you can connect with your fellow students more widely as well.
Another experience of some of the students, they generally, you know, I'm not sure whether they always feel the same, but I'm getting as a question. I'm sure you must be having some sort of team out there for the students at times who feel homesick the moment they reach there. Sometimes they miss their home, the people. So do you have a team or something wherein you also talk to the students who are feeling the same, or how do you help them with that if in case they feel like, you know, missing and all?
Very valid. And you know what, like I moved to Japan when I was in my early 20s, and I lived there for a few years, and it was very different, and I did experience culture shock, so I know firsthand what that is like. We're a smaller institution, as I mentioned, and that smallness of scale does mean that you've just got better access to staff. It means that people are going to know who you are. You're going to be a name, not a number. And that doesn't just go in the classroom, it goes with our support services as well. Now, when I have spoken to Indian students, no less, that we have now, they do all use that word, support. There are a number of teams generally, whether it be for sort of homesickness, for well-being, for students with, you know, differently abled students, things like that, who offer an excellent service across all groups of students, but we do have a dedicated international wellbeing officer as well, who is there with, you know, ready appointment access to support students who may want to address an issue that has a specific international dynamic to it.
That's really brilliant. And a bit about the study system as in, I've heard that, you know, there are a lot of assignments instead of exams, right? At the time of like when they study there, let's say they're doing a master's or their bachelor's. So is it more of assignment based study, right? And less of exams every single month? How it goes, if you can little brief about the system.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably one where I can only really generalize, because it does vary quite a lot by course. You know, sometimes there is an objective right and wrong answer, and sometimes it's more kind of the journey you take in writing those assignments.
Yeah.
I would say, as a general rule of thumb, the UK is not as big on rote learning and kind of just hard-nosed examinations as perhaps some other educational systems are. But for an exact answer, you would need to drill down into the specifics of each course.
Right, correct. Okay, so a bit about the academic programs and the majors that are particularly popular among international students at your university, that is Leeds Trinity.
We have a number of courses which attract quite a lot of interest, some of which are a little bit longer established and some of which are new products that we've just brought out. Amongst the more established ones, our psychology conversion course and our LLM conversion course are both ones that do well, that generate interest. For law, actually, we are ranked top 10 for law in the UK, and that marries up well with the fact that we're based in a city with a very large and deep-rooted legal quarter within the city. We've recently launched a data science and AI MSc, and that has attracted a lot of interest. I think with a subject area like that, having a recently put together curriculum is quite important because the technology is changing so rapidly. I think out of recognition of that, we've had a huge amount of interest there. You've also got MBA, International Business, Project Management, and another couple of newer courses we brought out would include Construction Management and Construction Project Management. But I mean, I could go on really. It depends on the demographic you're looking at. Some courses generate a lot of interest from certain parts of the world. Some courses are extremely popular with UK students. And to hone in on a couple of rankings, I mentioned law already. Journalism is another one where we're very highly ranked.
You've got the journalism as well. That's a really good program.
Yeah, we're ranked number 2 in the country for journalism.
Oh, excellent. That's amazing. That's amazing. All right, let's talk about little budget, if I say. So obviously students, since are coming for their education and all, they obviously have to consider their budget in terms of how much they're going to spend in terms of the fee and all. I would like you to speak a little about that as well.
Sure. I mean, from Leeds Trinity's perspective, we're very proud that we're quite accessible in those financial terms. Our fee range is not super high compared to some of our competitors. We do offer scholarships in a range of courses. Without going into the exact specifics, because obviously there's a range of courses and a range of course lengths as well. In many cases, you could expect to be studying for around £12,000 a year. And then when you add on the cost of living on top of that, being in Northern England, being a somewhat more affordable geographic location, I think you have quite an affordable package overall.
That's great. In fact, this is probably equal or less than many of the universities here in India. If you consider it in a way that studying here can give you the multicultural exposure, obviously a good level of networking, studying with students coming from different backgrounds within the same budget that you're going to spend here. So that is again one of the reasons that UK is a considerable option, and the university itself as well, that is Leeds Trinity. Moving on to the next questions. What opportunities exist for internships, research and other hands-on experiences for international students?
Great question. We are highly practical in our approach. We were one of the first universities to introduce internships, actually, before many of our competitors. So if you're a bachelor's student, you have the opportunity of an internship in year 2, and it is something we're actively looking at introducing for master's students as well. In terms of other kind of experiences, character building, if you will, we are ranked 7th in the UK for value added. Now, you can consider value added to be everything outside of the classroom, the means by which a student can grow as a person. And that comes from a number of things. It does come from that network building. It comes from that building of the soft skills that you need to get a job.
Yes, indeed.
And that's something we're very keen to develop. And it comes as well from, I think, students being able to come out of their comfort zone a little bit, which perhaps, again, as a smaller university, which does not have enormous numbers of students from any one nationality, that mingling and that kind of diversity it encourages people to experience.
Yeah, to experience and learn more. So I always say that, let's say, so for example, there are many things that how to do it in one way, being in one specific country. But when you study within multicultural diversity with, students coming from different backgrounds, you learn to do the same things in multiple ways. Say somebody does something in India in a specific way. Probably the people coming from US do it in a different way. People coming from UK doing it in a different way. And you learn to do the same thing in 3 different ways. That makes you even better in life itself. Brings another question. As a university, are you planning to add any of the new courses in the later years or something for the students who are not getting the courses that you're looking for as of now?
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, we are just putting the finishing touches to our city centre campus. So the city centre campus is not open yet, but it will be open soon, most likely before Christmas this year. Now, what that does is it opens up our teaching estate. So it goes without saying that that physical expansion of the university is going to be a precursor to an expansion of course portfolio as well. Now, there have been a number of courses that are opening for the first time this coming September 2024, and my expectation would be that that level of growth will be sustained in the near to mid future.
The more courses will be coming for sure. Yeah. All right. So, how does your university assist students in preparing for post-graduation employment or further studies if they want to go for?
Again, I would circle back to that point that we are just very practical in our approach. We don't want to teach people wishy-washy theory. We want people to understand how what it is that they're learning in the classroom can be applied to a real world scenario.
That's very important.
In terms of more kind of the nuts and bolts, yes, we've got a careers department, and they can offer a range of types of support. You can have one-to-one sessions. And access to that department runs not only when you're a student, but extends for up to 3 years after graduation. Sometimes we have students who have graduated, who've got a particular success story. We have them come back and deliver seminars and workshops to discuss their own experiences. So you can sort of see from the horse's mouth, as it were, how people have transitioned. I do think that the fact that we brought in that system of bachelor's degree placements so early in our history, even if you're on a course that doesn't immediately benefit from that, what you will benefit from is the fact that we know what employers want by virtue of having that network and having those conversations. So yeah, I think both holistically and in terms of specific services, we do have a very good offering on that front.
Great. I think I'll go for one more question and then we'll definitely be wrapping it up. So the question is specifically for the students. How early they should start with their applications for a particular intake? Let's say September intake is coming. When do you think they should start applying for the courses that they're looking for?
I mean, if you're looking for this September 2024, I would get a move on now, I would say. The kind of the international application window, I'm speaking as a global recruitment manager here because I work all over the globe. Some people are applying as early as November for the subsequent September. It's not too late now. I would say things start winding down in kind of the second half of June, and a lot of courses I would anticipate are going to close at some point in July. So bearing in mind that it can take a couple of months sometimes from start to finish, I would be starting now, but my message would certainly not be that it's too late now. We're still in early May. And we would welcome interest.
Right, Ms. Ben. It was a lovely discussion for me, and I'm sure it must be great for the students as well. We've got a lot many questions. They must have got the clarity for a lot many doubts do they have. Yes, Leeds Trinity University, again, a good one, wherein we can definitely proceed with the applications. And I really would like to thank Mr. Ben Whitehouse for being here, and thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. If anything that you would like to say to the students, kindly say if you want.
Again, I would just say that it's been a real pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much for the opportunity to have this chat and just to advocate in general for the UK as a study destination. And within the UK, don't forget that there is a north. There is a big world within the UK of lots of wonderful cities that you may not have immediately heard of. Leeds is certainly one of them. I understand your good self, you studied in Aberdeen, another good one.
Yes.
So please, do your homework and learn about these wonderful places that are there to be potentially accessed for education, and with any luck, we'll see you studying in such a place in the future.
Thank you. We'll see you in a new one. Thank you so much. Stay tuned and stay connected, people. Thank you.